Let's shift our focus. Following Delhi High Court ordering directing government to stash or remove the GST on air purifiers, terming these appliances as medical devices, we're now learning from government sources that all electronic items come under 18% GST bracket and therefore it's not possible to reduce suo motu only the GST on one of these items or one category of these items. However, the proposal can be considered during next GST meeting. So this is what we're given to understand. Of course, this is the latest that we're getting right now as far as the air purifiers are concerned. They are saying that all electronic devices come under the 18% bracket and therefore it's not possible to just pick one category of these appliances and to reduce the GST suo motu only on one item. However, we're given to understand this proposal perhaps could be considered during the next GST meeting. So this is following the Delhi High Court order which directed the government to slash or to remove the GST altogether on air purifiers. They've said that these appliances are medical devices in light of the toxic air crisis that we're faced with. We're learning from government sources that all electronic items, of course, as you know, come under the 18% GST bracket and therefore they say that it's not possible right now to reduce suo motu GST only on one item. We're hoping perhaps that these proposals will be considered during the next GST meeting. So this is the latest that we're getting right now. For more on this, we have Pallavi live with us. Pallavi, good morning. Thank you so much for joining me on the broadcast. Now, this is the latest that they've said. They've said that all electronic appliances come under the 18% bracket and therefore it's not possible to pick one category of appliances and reduce the GST on them. Of course, we're expecting that these will be considered in the next GST meeting. All right, so this is following the Delhi High Court order which directed the government to slash or remove the GST on air purifiers, terming these as medical devices. We've learned from government sources that since all electronic items come under the 18% bracket, they say that it's not possible to just slash GST only on air purifiers. However, we are expecting that these proposals will be considered going forward. So this is the latest that we're getting right now. We have Pallavi with us. Pallavi, what can you tell us?
Okay, as I was saying earlier here, that remember on Dhanteras, there was a GST bonanza which was announced by the government, which means there were only two GST slab of 18% and 5%. All electronic items come under a slab of 18%. You cannot tinker with only one item. There has to be change which has to take place, can only happen through a GST council meeting. And that is what government sources are telling us, that suo motu doesn't happen. It is a court's observation. The court also said that either the government reduces the GST from 18% to make it more affordable to the poor people, or you do something about pollution. So that is the one word we are picking up from way of government. It's only in a GST council meeting can this proposal be put forward on item by item change from 18 to 5% because now there are only two slabs left. Otherwise, one cannot just do it on their own.
So, Pallavi, essentially what we're learning from this is that perhaps that we're going to have to see a complete restructuring of these GST brackets that we see as well, because of course the Delhi High Court has said that these should not be treated as luxury items. This is a necessity, of course, because people are facing the extreme emergency crisis that is the air pollution in Delhi NCR. So, is it likely that this is going to lead to further reforms and restructuring?
See, pre-Dhanteras, there were four slabs of GST, 5, 12, 18 and 22%. It has now been brought down to only two slabs, which is 5 and 18%. And that's a huge drop as far as the prices are concerned on many items. But all electronic items come under a slab of 18%. It cannot be item-wise suo motu decision which can be taken by the finance ministry or the government. All matters have to be referred to a GST council. In fact, if you remember, even when the two slabs restructuring of GST took place, it was only done after the late night GST council meeting. Even now, there would have to be a GST council meeting. So far, no such proposal has been put forward. Whether the government is going to take cognizance of it, whether the GST council is going to take cognizance of it, we'll have to wait to see. But at the end of the day, a lot depends on the manufacturers also. a little bit of nudging can also come in from the central government or manufacturers that on your own you can bring down the prices so that the GST also applicable does not have too much of an impact on the overall price.
All right. So, of course, now we're given to understand that perhaps the only option immediately remains that maybe these prices aren't passed on to the consumers, and that is something we'll have to wait and watch if that really does translate. But just for more clarity on this, Pallavi, and for the benefit of our viewers also, they're saying that all electronic items come under this 18% GST bracket. Therefore, this reclassification of this entire line of products as a necessity or as medical devices is not going to have much of an impact unless we see structural changes here.
Absolutely. There is a body in place, which is the GST Council. There was a huge demand which was coming politically and even suggestions from the industry of bringing down the GST on multiple items because earlier, before Dhanteras, there were four slabs for the GST. But remember, that didn't happen easily. It only had to be referred to a GST Council meeting, which was done late into the night. And I remember that press conference happened at 10 p.m. when a restructuring was down on Dhanteras, and that was a huge bonanza which was announced by the government. Even now, if you want to go in for a restructuring, that can only happen after you go back to a GST council. If there is a proposal which comes in from one of the stakeholders, that can be worked upon. So what we are picking up by way of a government sources is that a government on its own cannot decide to slash the GST rate. This was an observation which came in from the courts. The other observation also was to deal with pollution. So whichever is easier. So the government is not getting too perturbed about, they are saying that this is an observation. We only have to go back to a GST council meeting. So far, no GST council meeting has yet been slotted.
All right, Pallavi, thank you so much for that.